Good morning, guys. So Dan from Trading with Dan here. So this is the morning Bitcoin and Ethereum update for the indicators that we use. I've actually turned down the volume recording mic, the microphone recording volume. That's it. I don't know why I'm saying things backwards. Because I was listening to some of the videos and it did sound like the volume was coming across a bit harsh. So hopefully that is better for you guys. If not, just let me know and I can change that back. But yeah, so interesting times at the moment. So you can see the 15-minute DMT. We poked through that buy line, didn't close the candle over it, and then so we obviously didn't open the buy trade. I have mentioned to you guys on numerous occasions that what we get is often we'll get rejected by the line. Especially if we're in a downtrend, we can get rejected by the obviously the buy line, and then if we're in an uptrend, we can get rejected as in support around the sell line. So that's exactly what happened here. So we basically came down. Like I told you guys, I was watching the stock market as well, and we were coming off in the stock market. I think the futures have actually limit locked down again at 2,400-ish. So obviously when that opens, it may not be a very pretty. So we didn't obviously get the DMT 50-minute buy. I wouldn't have taken it if we did, just to clarify. But so there we go. We'd actually got a 25-minute sell signal also, which basically at the moment you'd be offside on this sell signal. But like I said, I have been working shorts anyway from around these levels, around the DMT buy level, and my stop was basically if we closed above the DMT buy level. Obviously that's the 25-minute chart, so it was on the 15-minute chart. So it was if we closed above here. I was looking to get out, and then I had a hard stop at just over 5,600. So a close over here, I would have got out the trade, and then if we just spiked up before closing, I would have closed the trade at 5,600. So that's short. Short's done quite well. I mean, working shorts in this area around this DMT resistance line, in a very strong downtrend, in a very weak stock market, which is we are correlated with, has all obviously fed through to some successful short trades. So it's over to Ethereum. So we can see the Ethereum DMT buy line is like relative to the price is practically nowhere to be seen. I mean, I'll get a percentage tool here for you. It is 8.5% above the price. So I don't expect that to come into play, and if it didn't, I wouldn't be playing that at the moment. We got the 25-minute Dominator sell, and I did tell you guys Dominator sell for Ethereum does work quite well, and it is basically what I'm looking to use. I know some of the members in our group have set this up, so they'll be sat in a nice trade from this profit, and they also possibly would have taken some profit on this if not got out at a scratch. They could have taken profit on this trade or got out at a scratch, or scratch I mean sort of like a break even, call it a scratch. Scratching the trade. So that's what I'm looking at with Bitcoin and Ethereum. Like I said, I'm looking for more weakness. Gold, oil, when I was talking to you guys about oil when it was about 33, 34 barrels, and I was saying this is ridiculous, we're not staying up here. This was after we obviously tested down to 27, but I was like, we're going to take out that 27 and go lower. And currently we're in the 25, got a 25 handle, 25 and a half. So I expect that to move low. That is going to be a big drag on the stock market. There's a lot of financial institutions that are heavily invested in oil. There's a lot of energy ETFs that could potentially blow up. So there's a lot going on there. Gold again under pressure, and I can tell you guys exactly why gold is under pressure. It is because the 10-year yield is rising. So that is basically an increase in real rates, which gold hates. Gold basically is most perfectly correlated with the real rate of inflation. So basically we are basically selling off based on the bond market rallying. But this is not looking good at all, guys. I'll go off a little bit of a tangent. That was a Bitcoin and Ethereum analysis done. I mean, this is not looking at all good for the bond market. I also did speak to you guys about let me just find it. I did speak to you guys about the 10-year yield. How I basically said I believe this was the bottom. This is a blowout bottom capitulation, and if we start squeezing up in these yields, which we clearly are doing now, which is what I said probably would happen, this could gather steam, and this is literally going to be a catastrophe. This could turn into an uncontrolled sell-off of the bond market. There's a couple of other videos I'm going to do today for you guys. One of them is just explaining basically the bond market and how it's basically the one market to rule them all. The bond market is basically the debt market. So the bond market, bond is debt, is basically the biggest market we've got. It's currently worldwide. Debt is sat at 253 trillion. So 200, and just try and fathom that number. So that is the size of the debt bubble that is currently going to deflate. So that is going to send yields in the 10-year skyrocketing. I mean, literally, if this gets to 2% in such a short order, that is going to start triggering some serious liquidations in all sorts of markets. Because what this implies, this going up, this is the rate, the yield. So this is implying higher rates of interest, so a higher risk premium. And the over-leveraged corporates, you over-leverage governments, you over-leverage everything. Everything's over-leveraged in the market at the moment. They cannot handle higher rates. They literally cannot handle. But like I told you guys, this is a bubble that I think's already been burst. It was burst when all this stuff kicked off. This was the counter trend to that burst capitulation. Sell-off in yields, obviously spike in actual the bond value, and now we are having the sell-off, and like I was saying to you guys, if you get to 2%, keep going, that's going to fully confirm a bear trend in the bond market, a bull trend in the yields. Obviously they're inversely related, and this is going to be phase 2. This is basically when the stock market loses about 50, 60, 70. I mean, whatever percentages you want to go for, it could lose anything basically. So yeah, so back to the stocks actually, whilst we are talking about it. Let's look at a bigger time frame here. So you can see we're consolidating on the lows here, forming a descending triangle on this bottom. We all know how this plays out. When we get this next push lower, I'm going to do another video for you guys as well today, but very basically they are closing stock markets in Europe, in certain countries, so that basically people can't keep selling stocks, which is just ridiculous. Is that apparently we live in a free market economy, so they close the market so you can't sell your stocks. But if this basically takes this leg down, I fully expect the Steve Mnuchin to shut down the US markets as well, and as soon as those US markets shut down, there's going to be mayhem. And then this is basically the doom scenario for Bitcoin, because the Bitcoin market never shuts and never closes, so people are going to be looking for anything to short against their assets that they currently can't basically sell, like their assets that they're basically stuck in the stock market, and lots of things are going to be sold. Basically everything is going to be sold, including Bitcoin. And yeah, I mean, some other analysts have been talking about great 1.61 basically retracement targets, and the prior peak of bull markets of around $1,250. So lots of things are happening in these markets that are basically almost unbelievable. 10-year bond yields going to 0.4, then going back to well over 1. Oil going from basically we're around 60 levels to the 25 levels now. Stock market's looking like they're going to make a big leg lower, and having made the fastest decline. If you guys think that 1,250 isn't possible in Bitcoin in short order, when this SH1T truly hits the fan, then you need to rethink basically your you just need to rethink, basically. That's what I'm saying. So anyway, so sorry for all the doom and gloom in this, but I mean, it's better you guys know and that you guys are warned that this is coming. So, well, not definitely coming, but I mean, as near to definite as I think you can get, basically. So yeah, the Fed has thrown everything it can at the market and it has failed. I mean, they can't fight 253 trillion in global debt. They cannot reinflate that asset. Now it has basically been burst, now that we've reached peak deflationary, basically peak deflationary impacts from like globalization. Basically now globalization is slowing, businesses are getting shut down, it's just a vicious cycle. Corporates are massively over leveraged, they cannot afford higher interest rates, and corporate spreads are blowing out. So corporate spreads are blowing out, that is even whilst the 10-year rate is going up also. So that's a double whammy. Basically corporate spreads are increasing relative to government bonds, and government bonds are increasing themselves. I mean, this literally, this guys is pretty much the nightmare scenario unfolding right before us. And you know the Fed has seen this, you know the Fed has panicked doing what they've done. I mean, so yeah, be careful. And like I said, we'll revisit this video at some time, I'm sure. I mean, I don't like to be the bearer of bad news, the bearer of doom and gloom, but believe me, there is plenty of downside in Bitcoin. One, because it is a highly risky speculative asset. Two, because you can't shut down the Bitcoin market. It's going to get traded on the exchanges somewhere. Like you can shut down the stock markets, like the government can shut down the stock markets. So there's a big risk there, guys. I have spoke about a collapse of the financial system could be bullish for Bitcoin. There is always that aspect, but you're always, just like in the bond market, you always got to back the counter trend move first. So i.e. a big capitulation dip before we then start to go in the other direction. That's basically what happened in the bond market. That is basically what happened in oil, to the inverse side, to the opposite side. We hit that big spike up. And then we obviously with global political tensions, and then we had the massive capitulation sell-off. So this might be what happens with Bitcoin. We have the big proper sell-off, not like the ones we're having, which are just comparable to stock market sell-offs. And then potentially we could put in the bottom and rally whilst everyone's aware of the financial system collapsing. And yeah, so we need an alternative payments method. So thanks for listening, guys. I'll speak to you guys later on today with a couple of videos that I definitely think are worth listening to in these turbulent times. There's things that you're not necessarily going to see in the mainstream media, things that you aren't going to see spoken about, that you guys definitely do need to be aware of. So thanks a lot for listening. Not financial advice. Yeah, smash the like, smash the thumbs up. I mean, I know you guys might not like what I'm saying about the potential Bitcoin price, but at least if you're aware of this scenario, you're better armed to deal with it. So, but yeah, please smash the likes, leave me a comment, and yeah, so I'll speak to you guys soon.